Dark alleys, broken sidewalks, and garbage heaps. Every evening she scanned through overflowing dumpsters, hoping to find stale bread, rotten fruits, or half-drunk bottles to quench her thirst. People passed her without a glance, clutching purses and stepping quickly, as if her very presence was a disease. She had no name that anyone cared to remember. Some called her the rag girl, others the stray. Abandoned as a child, she had no papers, no relatives, and no safety net. The city's institutions turned her away again and again. What kept her alive was instinct, the will to keep breathing, even when hunger clawed at her insides. At night, she often curled up near abandoned markets, where the smell of spoiled produce masked her presence from drunkards or criminals. But that night was different. It was unusually quiet, the kind of silence that makes the air heavy. As she rummaged through a pile of trash bags, she noticed a movement. Soft, small, almost hidden. Then came the faintest sound, like a whisper, fragile and desperate. She froze, unsure if hunger had tricked her ears. But as she leaned closer, she saw it. A baby wrapped in tattered rags, lying motionless except for the tiny quiver of breath. Its skin was pale, its cries weak. Someone had abandoned it there in the filth, hoping the night would swallow its existence. Her heart pounded. She had nothing, not even food for herself. Yet in that moment, she felt something stir inside her. Something fierce, something she hadn't felt in years, the need to protect. The girl lifted the baby with trembling hands. It was impossibly light, like a feather. Its face was smeared with dirt, its eyes barely able to open. She pressed the infant against her chest, trying to share her warmth, though her own clothes were little more than torn rags. Panic clawed at her. Where could she take it? No one trusted her. If she showed up at a hospital, they might accuse her of theft. If she went to the authorities, they would laugh at her, maybe even accuse her of abandoning it herself. Society had already written her off as worthless. Why would they believe she had saved a life? Yet walking away was unthinkable. This baby's cry had pierced through her emptiness, tethering her to something larger than survival. She carried it through the night, her eyes darting at every shadow. Streetlights flickered as though judging her, and every bark of a stray dog made her clutch the child tighter. Her stomach growled painfully, but she ignored it, focusing only on the fragile breath against her chest. At dawn, she reached the old abandoned train station where she sometimes slept. She laid the baby on a piece of cloth she had salvaged weeks ago. She searched her bag, a small sack with scraps of stale bread. Carefully, she chewed the bread, softened it with drops of water, and fed it to the baby, praying it would be enough. The days that followed were grueling. The girl begged on streets, not for herself, but for milk. Some cursed her, some ignored her. But once in a while, a stranger gave her coins. With those, she bought milk, clutching the bottle like treasure. She rationed everything, sometimes going hungry for 2 days, but the baby never missed a meal. And slowly, the baby's cries grew louder, stronger. Its skin gained color. Its tiny hands gripped her finger with surprising strength. Every smile, every breath gave her a sense of purpose she had never known. Yet whispers spread. People noticed the ragged girl carrying a baby. Some accused her of stealing it. Others mocked her, saying she was raising another mouth to starve. But beneath the mockery, there was something darker, suspicion. One night, a group of men cornered her, demanding to know where she had gotten the child. When she refused to answer, they struck her, leaving her bruised and bleeding. Still, she held the baby tight, refusing to let go. She promised herself, silently, no matter what, this child would not die the way she had once been left to. What she did not know was that this baby was no ordinary child. Just days earlier, across town, a powerful family had been shaken by scandal. A billionaire's daughter had given birth in secret, a child born outside the boundaries of wealth and control. To protect the family name, whispers suggested the baby had been taken care of. No one dared to ask questions. No one imagined that the child still breathed, hidden in rags, cradled now by a girl the world called trash. The girl's world collapsed one rainy evening. She had found temporary shelter in a crumbling warehouse where the roof leaked but at least offered walls. She huddled in a corner, shielding the baby from the storm. Suddenly, blinding lights cut through the darkness. Cars, polished and expensive, pulling up outside. Men in suits stepped out, their shoes clicking against the wet concrete. They weren't police. They were too sharp, too deliberate. They approached her without hesitation. One man pointed at the baby. "That's it." Her chest tightened. She clutched the infant, her body trembling. She knew nothing about these men, yet everything about them screamed danger. She tried to run, but the men were faster. One yanked her arm, another tore the baby from her chest. She screamed silently, clawing at them, begging, but they shoved her to the ground. The baby wailed, its voice piercing the storm, before the car doors slammed shut and the convoy sped into the night. She lay on the cold floor, soaked and broken, her body shaking with sobs. For the first time since she had found the baby, she felt truly powerless. All the bruises, all the hunger, all the nights of sacrifice, gone in an instant. What she didn't know was that the baby had been tracked. Powerful eyes had been searching, and while the men who snatched the infant were servants of wealth, they were not rescuers, they were jailers, sent to erase a scandal. The girl was left with nothing but silence, her arms empty, her soul shattered. Yet deep inside, a spark ignited. She had lived invisible all her life, but not anymore. They had taken from her the only thing that made her feel human. She would not disappear quietly. The ragged girl staggered through the city streets for days, searching for any trace of the car, the men, the baby. No one listened. No one cared. To them, she was still just a beggar chasing ghosts. But inside her, something had shifted. She was no longer surviving for scraps. She was fighting for truth. She began piecing together whispers, overhearing fragments of conversations in markets, outside wealthy gates, near lavish hotels. Slowly, she realized what she had stumbled into: a scandal buried under wealth, a baby erased to protect the family's spotless image. And she, a homeless girl, had been the only one brave or desperate enough to shield that innocent life. Her body was weak, her future uncertain, but her determination burned hotter than hunger. For the first time, she felt her existence mattered. If she had been chosen by fate to find that baby, then perhaps fate wasn't done with her yet. She swore that one day she would find the child again. One day the world would know the truth, that a girl thrown away like trash had been the only shield between a helpless baby and the cruelty of power. And though she didn't know it yet, destiny was already weaving their paths together. For says, that child carried bloodlines of immense wealth, while she carried scars of the streets. One day both would collide, and the world would never be the same. But for now the night closed around her, and she whispered a promise into the silence. I will find you again. And as she disappeared into the shadows, one question lingered like smoke in the air. If society calls someone worthless, does that make them unworthy of greatness? Or does it mean they are the only ones who truly understand what greatness costs? Part 2, coming soon.